Hello everybody, welcome to this video. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going back to basics. You know, I've been thinking about videos that I could do that are music related, that are vinyl related, and you know, frankly, I've not been coming up with too much. But then I thought, you know, recently around Christmas time I finally finished off my Beatles collection, studio albums on vinyl that is. And everyone talks about the Beatles, they're talked about to death in the vinyl circles on YouTube, but I think there's a reason for that. I think people enjoy talking about the Beatles. So today we're just going to have a nice leisurely look through my Beatles collection. CDs, records, and actually a book to show off, because I don't really count it as part of my music collection, but it's an interesting book that I don't think I showed off. It was something my dad got me for Christmas, but that's there. I'll run through the CDs, I'll run through the records. I probably won't be talking too much about the actual albums because I feel like that's a bit redundant given that it's the Beatles and everyone knows the Beatles. So I'm just going to run through my albums. I think that would be quite a nice sort of calming, relaxing, leisurely video to do. And by any means, if you've got any video ideas that you would like to see me do, drop them in the comments below. As I say, I've got loads to do with horror movies and things like that, but I like to space things out. I don't want to do loads on movies, then loads on music. I'd like to mix and match, because I know different people like different things. So let me know. We're going to start off with the book. The book is this, The Complete Beatles Songs. And it's a hefty thing as well. Yeah, Dad got me this for Christmas, I think it was, last Christmas. And it says all the songs, all the stories, all the lyrics. So it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You know, you open it up, I've got your contents there of all the albums. Then if I just flick to a random page there, oh good, we're in the middle of the singles. So you've got there on the left hand side, thank you girl. You've got towards me, she loves you. All the orange is lyrics, all the black writing is information and things like that. You've got at the bottom who it was written by, the length of the song, when it was released in the US and the UK, and it's organised into albums as well. So there you go, we're on Beatles For Sale. You've got I'm a Loser and No Reply. If we skip a little bit ahead, we're on Help, I think there, Another Girl, and You're Gonna Lose That Girl. And it's a really interesting read, you know, especially I find if you've got the album on in the background, you can sort of read through the lyrics and information about the song at the same time. Rubber Soul there, Run For Your Life if I needed someone. And I think, as we get closer to the back, it actually goes on to the anthologies, which, where are we at? Abbey Road. Yeah, so if you get back to the back pages here, there's Live at the BBC. There's the anthology tracks, Anthology 1 through 3. That's difficult to say. And it's a really fascinating read, you know, the Beatles, there's so much knowledge knocking about the Beatles songs and their music, but it's a really, really concise sort of guide to their music, really. So it's a really nice book. Thank you very much, Dad. That is The Complete Beatles Songs by Steve Turner. Includes all lyrics, or includes full lyrics for the first time. There you go. Just quickly move on to the CDs. There's only 5 CDs and they're not particularly sort of, I don't want to say interesting, but you know, we've all seen them before. This is the Red Album, as it's known, 62 to 66. Basically just a compilation of the best of. There's some album tracks, some singles on here. Not really any bad songs, you know. I tend to prefer the later stuff, but you know, the early stuff is really fun, really catchy stuff. And yeah, there's 26 tracks on here, and it goes from right at the start of the career to Revolver. And you know, like I said, that includes album tracks like Help, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, but then there's also Paperback Writer and Ticket to Ride, you know, singles as well, so that's quite nice. There is a blue one as well, which is the later years, but I don't have that. This is the Beatles Live at the BBC, pretty self-explanatory. I think, isn't there there's 2 volumes to this, and I think this might be volume 1, but I'm not sure. It's basically what it says, it's their early career performing for the BBC, and it's absolutely jam-packed with songs. 69 songs on here. We'll keep the jokes to a minimum. I'm not going to open them up too much. I mean, yeah, they come with booklets and things like that, but you know, you've seen all this stuff before. It's the records we want to get onto because they're more fun to look at. So yeah, that's the Beatles Live at the BBC. Quite a fun little album, and there's some really sort of bizarre songs and things on here that you don't really hear them do very often. And I'm going to show all these 3 in one. You can probably guess what they are. Anthology 1, Anthology 2 and Anthology 3. I really love the artwork on these things. Yeah, for those who don't know, this is sort of studio takes and alternate versions and unreleased tracks and things like that. Largely, I have to say, there's a reason that the unreleased tracks were unreleased, because they're not quite up to standard with their studio album output and the singles and things, but they're still a good listen, and it actually includes two, I say new, you know, at the time this was released, two new songs. This is, the first one on Anthology 1 is Free as a Bird, and the first song on Anthology 2 is Real Love, which are two, I believe they were John Lennon demos that the rest of the Beatles sort of picked up and finished off. But yeah, Anthology 1, you've got sort of their very, very early career, you know, from sort of In Spite of All the Danger sort of area, right up to late 64, I think that is. Anthology 2 is from 65 to, oh, it goes right up to Across the Universe, so 70. And then, I'm just assuming this third one, yeah, it's just more sort of later takes, later songs. And yeah, they're an interesting listen. It's not something I put on too much at all, you know, it's mainly for people who are very, very into the Beatles to hear them working in the studio. That's the appeal of these things, really. But they're very interesting for those who are interested, and if you haven't heard them, I would definitely give them a listen. So now, there we go. Stack of records. We all know what's coming up. I'm not going to hold you in suspense or anything. Right, debut album, Please Please Me. With Love Me Do and 12 other songs, yeah. Debut album, it's a pretty good debut album. It's pretty standard, really, for the 60s. You know, there's some original songs, a lot of covers on here. But it's the classic Beatles sound. You've got Twist and Shout, I Saw Her Standing There, so already they're churning out some classics on these. And a few of these, I'm not entirely sure what pressings they are, so if I show you some labels and things, then please let me know. This, I'm assuming, is an 80s repressing. Thankfully, I have to say, I'm not all that fussed about getting originals or anything, just as long as it, you know, plays alright and sounds alright, and as you can see, that's pretty immaculate, so I'm very happy with that. This one and the next one came from my grandma's collection, so thank you, Grandma. And yeah, that's Please Please Me by the Beatles. There was something interesting on here. If I remember rightly, someone mentioned something on a Facebook group about that when it says recording first published 1963. Apparently that means something for a certain pressing, but I have absolutely no idea. I'm assuming it just means it's not an original. But yeah, that's debut album on vinyl, Please Please Me. Next up is the second album, which I prefer to the first album. This is With the Beatles. Again, same sort of thing, some covers, some original songs. Not too much change really between the first and second album, as you will know. But yeah, I think the songs are a little bit better on this. The Lennon McCartney songs, I mean. And it's got All My Lovin' on here. There is Roll Over Beethoven, Till There Was You. So yeah, again, hits on here. Not really any bad tracks again. Some that I'm not as keen on. Not a Second Time isn't one of my favourites. Devil in Her Heart isn't one of my favourites either, but really, they're not bad songs. Again, I think this is an 80s pressing, so please let me know if you know. Again, pretty minty. There's a bit of dust and that on it, but in terms of, you know, surface scratches and things like that, luckily there is none, and it plays absolutely fine. Again, that was from my grandma's collection, so thank you, Grandma. And there you go. I was going to get Revolver from my grandma, but when we went there to look through her collection, there was a massive cat scratch right down the front of the album cover. So let's hope it wasn't an original, because that would be painful. My favourite of the early albums, early being sort of post-65, pre-65, sorry. A Hard Day's Night. This is the first one where they are writing all their own songs, and this is where the songwriting starts to step up a little bit. No bad songs on here, and it's just a solid album. Again, 80s repress, I think. Sort of acts as a soundtrack to the film as well. So, immaculate again, very happy with it. And I was going to mention something then. Oh yeah, the American album. The American release of A Hard Day's Night has some sort of incidental music on it and some instrumental stuff from George Martin that was actually featured in the film. That I would quite like to get hold of, because I quite like George Martin's film score stuff. But in terms of studio albums, I'm from the UK. This is the UK album, this is the one I'm used to, so I'm more than happy with this at the minute. And yeah, it's in really good condition as well, so happy with that after a hard day's night. Oh, the controversial. Yeah, in my video ranking the Beatles albums, this is the one I put at the bottom. And some people didn't like me for it, but hey ho, I stand by it. It's not my favourite Beatles album, it's my least favourite Beatles album. This is Beatles For Sale, released in late 1964, I believe. Literally is Beatles For Sale. It feels like they sort of cranked this out for Christmas. First gatefold they've done though, there on the back there's no track listing, you have to go inside for that. And yeah, cool photos and things. But again, this just feels like a step back for me. When you look at A Hard Day's Night, you know, you've got some really good Lennon McCartney songs on here. I mean, personally, 8 Days a Week is good, What You're Doing's good, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party's good, I'll Follow the Sun is probably my favourite on here, but again, then you've gone back to having a load of covers on here. You've got Rock and Roll Music, Kansas City / Hey 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 Hey, Words of Love, Honey Don't, I'm Not Counting on My Fingers Anymore, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. Yeah, feels like a bit of a step back, but hey ho, it's the Beatles, it's still a fun enough sound. And this is a 2009 stereo version. Well, it is stereo, but yeah, pretty sure it's 2009 remaster. Some people don't seem to like the stereo ones from 2009. I think they're alright, you know, I'm not going to pretend I'm an audiophile and that I notice every little thing in the music. A reference there. But yeah, for me, you know, they sound absolutely fine. I'm really happy with them, so that is Beatles For Sale. I think we're actually with 2009 remasters right up until the end now, so there we go. The Beatles Help, again the UK version. The US version, not entirely sure how the US version differs, but it would be interesting to see. Yeah, again we're back to, I think it's all Lennon McCartney stuff, and Harrison as well, sorry. Oh no, we've got Dizzy Miss Lizzy on here, which has the... It's such a fun guitar riff to listen to, it really is. It doesn't grate at all. I hate that song. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty good album. Sorry about the white balance going off when I show this to camera. Yeah, Yesterday's on here. You'd buy it just for that, but you know, it's full of great songs. Another Girl, Ticket to Ride. I thought Ticket to Ride was a single, I forgot it was on here. But yeah, again, 2009 remaster. And I get a bit like Beatles For Sale. This is sort of, it's not one I throw on a lot. It's not one of my favourite Beatles albums, and I know it is generally one of the more popular ones, so hey ho, the world would be boring if we were all the same. And again, stereo, I think it says on the front, so Help, not one I throw on a lot, but a good little album. And I've Just Seen a Face actually is worth mentioning as one of my favourite songs on here. And now is when we get really good. This is Rubber Soul, 2009 remaster, again. All Lennon McCartney Harrison songs, all of them are really good. I know people seem to slag off What Goes On. Personally, I think it's alright. It's not the best on the album by far, but still pretty solid song, I think. And this is the first album of theirs for me which is faultless, pretty much. I know Run For Your Life again is another song that people are a bit iffy about, but no, not going to complain about it myself. It's got In My Life on it, which, like a bit like Yesterday with Help, you'd buy the album just for that, wouldn't you? So, Rubber Soul, this is my mum's favourite Beatles album. It's very nearly my favourite. In fact, on my ranking, I think I put it third. But it might have crept up to second. I'll have to put it on afterwards and see what I think. But yeah, Rubber Soul, fantastic album. And this is what it was third to. I think this was second in my ranking, but this might have slipped below now, purely because Yellow Submarine's on here and it's completely out of place in my opinion. But Revolver, this is sort of when they hit their peak, really. I mean, their whole career was a peak, but you know what I mean. In terms of their musical creativity, this was their peak, I think. This and the next album. Songs on here, they're all fantastic. I'm not going to pick out individual ones, but it's Revolver. We all know Revolver. Stereo 2009 remaster. again, lucky to have the record completely faultless, minus a few bits of dust that you can see. And it's strange because I absolutely love the Beatles, but I don't find myself playing them very often. The last time I played a Beatles album was a couple of weeks ago, I think. And it was this, actually, it was Revolver. I don't know why I put it on. I tend to find when it's nice weather outside, I'm more inclined to play the Beatles. I don't know why, whether it's because I started collecting them when it was summer a few years ago and it reminds me of that. I do not know. This is their little known album, Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Don't need to talk about this, it's brilliant. Always loved this gatefold, I think that's one of my favourite pictures of the Beatles. And it's 2009 again, and it comes with all the spiel, which I will quickly pull out because if we're going to show it, we're going to show it properly. Little booklet with information from Paul, songs and things like that, and then my favourite part of this is the Who's Who on the front of the album cover. So you can look and see, like, oh, I thought I recognised 67, and 67 is, oh god, a name I can't pronounce, Marlene Dietrich. Oh god. But yeah, there's some famous faces on the front of here. And then you've got your fancy Summer of Love, fancy psychedelic, fancy in a sleeve fancy. And then the cutouts, which I haven't cut out because I'm not an imbecile. I think if you're going to go for an original Sgt Pepper, to get the cutouts intact is extremely rare. So consider yourself lucky if you've got that. Pull the record out quickly. They all look the same up until, see, they moved on to Apple. Parlophone again. This is the first record I ever owned. This was bought for me in, I want to say 2015 by my mum. And it was just before my chemistry exam because I was getting stressed out, and you know, bizarrely, I honestly might, just thinking now, I might have got this exactly 3 years ago today, because I remember it was the Thursday before my birthday, and this was a birthday present that Mum gave to me early, and my birthday is next Tuesday. So if it's not bang on 3 years, it's pretty close to bang on 3 years since I got this. Yeah, we'll say 3 years. It might be 2, it might be 4, I don't know. But happy anniversary, Sgt Pepper. My collection, Sgt Pepper. Good album. Sorry, I just had a bit of a weird moment there. Right. This one is bizarre. Every time I look at Beatle album rankings, this always is in like the bottom 3, and I personally don't understand why. I mean, you only have to look at the second side. God, you know, I love it when the cat makes stupid noises when I'm recording a video. You only have to look at the second side to realise why I don't think this belongs in the bottom 3. You've got Hello Goodbye, followed by Strawberry Field, followed by Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, we'll ignore for now, and then All You Need Is Love. But then even on the first side, you've got I Am the Walrus, The Fool on the Hill. The Fool on the Hill, I think, is a really underrated song. Again, the UK version. No, it's the US version, isn't it, this? Because in the UK it was released as a double EP. Bizarre back cover. Haven't seen the film. Apparently I'm not missing out on too much. Always thought this was a bit dull, considering how bright and colourful the outside is. Then you get, like, really formal writing on the inside. And this comes with this booklet that no one's ever shown off on YouTube before. This is the 24-page colour booklet of all pictures and things from the movie. That is a personal favourite photo of mine. Where are we at? I'm trying to find a picture of John Lennon putting spaghetti on a woman's plate with a shovel. It's worth it. There it is. That's the thumbnail. Yeah, comes with that. I'm not sure. Did original copies come with a booklet? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if this is just a new thing for the 2009 Jamboree, but yeah, this is on Capitol Records because, like I said, it's the American LP version, and I really like the rainbow label. So yeah, again, immaculate. Sounds brilliant to me. Not a lot more to say on this one. Just that if you're one of the people who put it in their bottom 3, give it a listen. Give it a listen now and realise your mistakes. Yeah, I mean, there's some weaker tracks on here, you know, Flying isn't fantastic. Blue Jay Way is bizarre, but I sort of like it. Your Mother Should Know is... It's not fantastic, but it's innocent and fun enough, I suppose. So yeah, I'm not saying it's the best Beatles album ever made, but I think, you know, it's underrated. I think it's underrated. Next up is the album that came in at number 1 on my ranking, and I honestly can't see it shifting because I love this album. I love this album even more than a lot of people seem to love this album. This is the self-titled album, The Beatles, as you can see. White album, again stereo as the extremely subtle writing tells you. Gatefold, again even more dull than the Magical Mystery Tour one. God, I picked the wrong day to do this with so many white album covers. Yeah. I was going to say there's not a bad track on here, but there's many bad tracks on here, but I just really like the whole vibe of this album. Back in the USSR is on here, so fantastic. Dear Prudence, I Will is a song that I think is deserving of more attention than it gets. Blackbird, I'm not gonna because I don't know. It's really bizarre because I accept that this is their least consistent album and yet it's still my favourite. I've got photos as well, that's Paul and Rongu. Are the others in here? George, and where's John? There he is. So yeah, comes with all the photos. It did come with a poster, I'm not sure if I've still got it in here somewhere. Yes I have. I think it's got a rip in it though, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone has seen this. Everyone has seen this and there's no point in me showing it, but I'm doing it anyway. Oh god. There's blue tack all over it. Here we go. Come on, fall down. This is entertaining YouTube viewing. Ah, there's blue tack. There we are. Lyrics on the back. Yes, I was right, it is ripped. Look, there. The joy of having cats. Lots of lyrics on this album, as you can see. Really bizarre poster as well. But it works, I suppose, for what the album is. And, oh god, let me fold this away right. And then you fold over that way. There we go. And then you will go away when I can be asked to put you away. Yeah, and this is when they switched labels. This is now on Apple, which is signified by the label. Side 1/side 3 have the full Apple, side 2 and 4 have the half Apple, which I thought was always quite a cool touch. And now I'm going to talk about it for an extended period of time while I try and fit everything back into the gatefold sleeve. Yeah, it's a strange one because there's some songs on here that I would consider to be terrible, but I enjoy the overall ambience of the album. You know, like, as much as I'm not a fan of let's think, Wild Honey Pie or Revolution 9, I would never skip over those songs. I think it all sort of adds to the feeling of the album, and I'm not going to pretend this was an artistic decision by them, you know, going, oh, we'll put some crap songs on and then it'll make the good songs sound really good, because it's not. It was just them faffing about, but, you know, I like it. This is the album that everyone tells me should have been at the bottom of my ranking, and of course I have to admit that my opinion was wrong, and I have now changed it to the general consensus. Yeah, I think this was second bottom. Yellow Submarine. I quite like, as I said, George Martin's orchestral stuff, so that's the reason it's not at the bottom. And also as much as you've got repeated songs on here from other albums, the 4 songs you do get I quite like. Only a Northern Song is just clever and bizarre, the fact it's all out of tune, but still sounds quite good. All Together Now is a fun little children's song. Hey Bulldog is the highlight of this, without a doubt. It's just a fantastic song. In fact, I watched a whole video on why Hey Bulldog is the most underrated Beatles song. And I don't know if I'd agree, but it's definitely up there. And It's All Too Much, which is a strange psychedelic nightmare song by George Harrison. One of my favourite album covers as well, that. I just really like the sort of weird cartoon art style I went for. And then you've got this, which I think is a separate inner sleeve. Yes, it is. So you could put it in this one if you're a moron, because there's no anti-static things in there. But you've got your writing on there, information and things. Again, still on Apple. Again, still beautiful, beautiful vinyl. And this is one of the most recent ones I got. I was missing this and Let It Be, and then for Christmas my mum gave me a £50 Amazon voucher. So I thought, you know what, Mum started me off on the Beatles, my Beatles vinyl collection. I think, you know, it would be nice if I used it to get the other two I was missing. So yeah, a very welcome addition to my collection, this one. As much as it's not the best album, I did need it. Oh, I forgot about this one as well. This one is going back to my grandma's collection, so if you have any idea what sort of pressing this is, please let me know. Abbey Road, not the best condition Abbey Road either. It's a little bit squished, but it plays fine, so I'm not too fussed about it. Really glossy for some strange reason. Yeah, back cover doesn't list Her Majesty, so you can get that idea out your head straight away. And yeah, you can tell this is a bit of an older one because there's some mild staining on the inner sleeve, but I'll never throw it away. Even if I get an upgrade on this, I'll never throw it away because it is my grandma's. And also the apple is really vibrant on this. I don't know if you're picking that up. As you can see, the record is just, it's fine. You know, there's no problems with the record despite its age. I'm guessing this is an 80s repressing again, but I might be wrong. So if you've got any idea what this pressing is, then shoot me a comment and let me know, because I'd be interested to hear. There's no way I've been talking about this for 26 minutes. This is taking far too long. I'll try and hurry it up. I was saying that there's only 3 albums left. Never mind, I'll slow down. Right, last studio album now. Arguably second last, but it was released last. Let It Be. Again, this is the most recent one I got at Christmas. This was what the voucher went on. 2009 remaster, stereo. And I can't remember. I keep going back to that ranking video. If you haven't seen it, then please feel free to go and watch it. But I can't remember where this came. I feel like this came close to the bottom, but having listened to it recently, it's better than I remember. Even though it is rough around the edges as an understatement. But yeah, it's, as I said in my update video, it's the ballads on this that make it. I mean, you've got Across the Universe, The Long and Winding Road, and another one that I can't see. Let It Be. Yeah, how did I miss that one? The other songs are alright, but those 3 songs I think are the highlights of the album. Even though John Lennon didn't like Across the Universe, apparently. I read the other day. Stunning vinyl, not a mark on it. Some horrible dust and things, but that can easily be sorted. So yeah, it's a strange one, but I don't mind it. You know, it's a bit of a sad end, really, because you can feel they're a bit tired on some songs, and I think Abbey Road's a much more suitable end to the career, which it was, because that was recorded after this, but still a fun enough album, I suppose. Right, here's the juicy bit. Past Masters. Look at how glossy it is, look at how shiny it is. Yeah, this for me is like, this completed me on this. This has got, you know, sort of album tracks, but it's mainly the singles, and yeah, 4 sides. And with this and the studio albums, you're pretty complete on the Beatles. I mean, I'm not a sort of what was I gonna say? I'm not sort of obsessed on getting every song they ever released on vinyl. You know, as long as I've got the ones that they wanted released on vinyl, on singles or records or anything, then I'm happy. And this fills a massive hole in your Beatles collection. So yeah, well worth a pickup if you haven't got it already. Nice gatefold. And yeah, it goes through their whole career. I believe, actually, a nice touch on this is that the first record is on Parlophone, their earlier label, for the earlier songs. A lot of songs packed into each side, but it sounds surprisingly good. So yeah, that's the first record, and the second record is on Apple for the later stuff, which I think is a really nice touch. I'm not going to show that off because it's, again, just it's just black vinyl. And it comes with a little booklet as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah, there we go. I genuinely can't remember what's in here. That's not a booklet, it's just a piece of cardboard. It's been folded in half. Song information, not song information. Yeah, it's a really fantastic package, and you know, I'm not a massive fan of 45 singles, 45 RPM singles, and you know, it really has saved me a massive amount of faffing on trying to get all these on 45. So yeah, fantastic package for any Beatles fan. And the final album to show off is one from my grandma's collection. It's battered as hell. It's one of the worst conditioned records in my collection, but I'm very glad to have it because, again, it was my grandma's. This is the Beatles Love Songs, which is just a sort of nice mellow album for the most part. And the only problem is that the writing is a stupid colour, because you can't see it. I'll hold it up to the sun there, you might be able to see a little bit. But yeah, it's what it says on the tin really. It's just a collection of their love songs. The best of their love songs. Because they did quite a lot of those, you know. Yeah, gatefold in here. It's a little bit ring worn, if that's a word. Sorry, Ringo. But yeah, it was my grandma's, so you know I'm happy to have it. I'll just pull one of the records out quickly, as you can see. But you know, again, as much as that is battered about, the records themselves are absolutely fine. There's not a skip. I was going to say there's not a mark on them, but there's some horrible dust in there. But yeah, they play absolutely fine. And you know, even if it didn't, I've got all these songs on other albums and things, so that's just a bonus really. It's just a bonus album to have. And thus concludes the video. So I'll just whip this back in here quickly, which was quite awkward if I remember. It's one of those that doesn't seem to want to go in. Oh, look at that. Right. Half an hour, Jesus Christ. Yeah, this wasn't an original video. This was just me indulging myself really. I completed my collection relatively recently. I hadn't shown it all off in one go. And I thought this would be a nice way to do it. So let me know what you think of the albums I've got. If you know what some of the pressings are, then please let me know, because I'd be very interested to hear. And thank you very much for watching. I know people talk about the Beatles all the time, but there's a reason for that. Everyone likes the Beatles. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in another video. Goodbye.